What's up, guys? It's Solo back with another video here on Solo Hoops, and today we got to talk about the Western Conference in the NBA, and more specifically, who is the biggest threat to the reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets, in the Western Conference. I know if we take a look at the NBA standings, the Timberwolves and the Thunder are currently above the Denver Nuggets, but at least for me, and maybe you guys as well, that doesn't really change my mind. I still see the Denver Nuggets as the #1 team in the Western Conference, and I'm not blind. Like, I see the Nuggets are third, so I'm not saying that, but I guess I'm saying that the Nuggets are the #1, contender in the West in my mind. If the playoffs were to start today, the Nuggets would be the team that I'll be most confident in going all the way and winning a finals. And the Western Conference is very interesting this year because coming into the year, the West looked literally loaded. Like, it looked like it had like 12 potential playoff teams, and then when you compare it to the East probably looked like it had like 4 top teams, maybe 5 or 6 solid teams, but the West was absolutely loaded. We got the Timberwolves, and keep in mind, all of these teams, you feel like could win a playoff series. The Timberwolves can win a playoff series. The Thunder can win a playoff series. Nuggets can win a playoff series. The Clippers, who we're going to talk more about, they're kind of like the hottest team in the NBA right now, could definitely win this playoff series. The Kings could win one. The Mavs, I'll say they could win one, even though their team just kind of weird, but when you got Luka, you could always win one. Pelicans can win a playoff series. Suns can win a playoff series. Rockets, I'm not sure if in this Western Conference with all of these dog teams, and by dog teams, I mean good teams. I know that term can be used for, bad or good, but there's so many great teams. I don't know if the Rockets are winning a series. I don't know if they're there yet. The Warriors could win a series. So that's how many teams? That's 9 teams. And then the Lakers could win a series. So that's 10 teams that could win a series in the West. Maybe even you could say Grizzlies. I probably won't. So 10 teams in the West that could win a playoff series. West is still looking pretty loaded, but which of these 10 are the biggest threat to the Denver Nuggets? By the way, sub up if you guys haven't. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel. I've only been doing this channel for about a month now, so I'd appreciate if you could sub up. Something that a lot of teams that end up going to the finals or even winning the finals have in common is they are a top, mainly defensive team. You see a lot of top defensive teams in the NBA winning the finals or just going to the finals, but I feel like it kind of feels like times are changing where offense is just overpowering great defense, but at the same time, the Timberwolves, as you guys can see, if we go to defensive rating, are the #1 team with defensive rating. It's not really close. They're 2 defensive rating above the Celtics, and they're #1 in the West. So I guess it kind of still holds true, but something you got to look for is who's top 10 in offensive rating, but also top 10 in defensive rating. And there are a few teams. So if we look at offensive rating, by the way, it's a lot of teams from the Eastern Conference that are just running the offensive, rating rankings. The first team is the Thunder, who are 5th. So we got the Thunder, we have the Nuggets, the Clippers, that's 3, and the Mavs. So that's 4 teams. Mavs, Clippers, Nuggets, and Thunder. Now, are any of them, top 10 for defensive ranking? We have the Thunder, and we have the Nuggets, and we have the Clippers. So we have 3 teams: Nuggets, Clippers, Thunder. 3 teams that are top 10 in both and kind of, fit our little metric or whatever you want to say when we talk about finals teams in the past. I think we have had a few recently. I think the Warriors were not top 10 in either when they ended up winning. So there are a few outliers, but mainly, teams are going to be top 10 in both or at least close to it. The team that I mainly want to talk about that you guys can already tell because I probably titled the video about it, put a thumbnail about it, is the Los Angeles Clippers, which in my opinion, and I don't even know if it's an opinion, is the hottest team in the NBA. The Clippers, when they got James Harden, it was rough. I don't know what exact game it was where they got James Harden, but you can see they had a little losing stretch. They went from being 3-1 all the way to being 3-7, a 6-game losing streak. But look, ever since they were, 8-10, they were 8-10. Now they are 22-12. They are on a 14-2 little run in their last 16 games. You just see all of these W's piling up. Some of these are against good teams too. The Clippers are on an absolute tear, and they're scary. And this is a team that is the type of team that I like when it comes to playoff time. I always mention on this channel, I like playoff experience. Of course, a lot of the guys in this team haven't won. Paul George, Harden, Westbrook. You do have Kawhi, luckily. So if they didn't have Kawhi, maybe I wouldn't like this team as much. But this is just in a team of experienced vets, if you want to call it that are still kind of in their prime. Not really, they're on like the back end of their prime, but Westbrook's not in his prime anymore. This is a team that, as we saw when we looked at the offensive and defensive rating, they have, you know, good offense and also good defense. You got Kawhi at the top, then you got PG. Harden's been insane. Like, bro, the last like 2-3 weeks, I want to say, James Harden has been almost hooping like prime Harden. He's not putting up the same points numbers, but his assists are off the charts. He's averaging 8.3 already, and I feel like he started slow. So if we were to look at like the last few weeks, he might be averaging closer to 10 assists. His points per game is probably closer to 20 in the last few weeks. Like, James Harden's been on an absolute tear. If he keeps this up, the Clippers are going to be so scary with Kawhi, PG, Harden. Then you also got, you know, off the bench, or sometimes they start, I don't really know, Norman Powell and Terrence Mann, very solid players that they have. Bones Highland, like, I don't know what they're really doing with him. They kind of, I don't know. He's just, they don't really play him as much ever since they got Harden. You obviously got Westbrook, Zubac manning down the paint. I always love to hear what some of these players have to say about stuff like this. And I watch Paul George's podcast a lot. And he said on his podcast that as a team, the Clippers feel like, yeah, maybe they could lose a game or two to a team, but in a 7-game series, they said like they don't really see them losing 4 games out of 7 to anybody in the NBA. So Paul George, at least, you know, I don't know if he's speaking for the whole team, but him and I guess the Clippers kind of have that confidence. And I mean, most teams probably do. A lot of teams probably do. The OKC Thunder are the number 2 seed in the Western Conference right now. Who expected this? Please let me know in the comments if you or anybody you know expected the Thunder to be a top 2 team in the West. My kind of prediction was probably they'd be a play-in team. You know what I'm saying? They'd probably be 7-10 in the West. Like, top 6 is kind of crazy if you were predicting that. Maybe 6 is, I could see that maybe, but number 2, no one saw this coming. The Thunder are one of the hottest teams in the entire NBA, and you gotta mention them when you're talking about teams that could be a threat to the Nuggets come playoff time. And as I always say, I like teams that have players that have been there before, that are experienced in the playoffs. Those are the teams that I think have the most success. When it's a new team, essentially, that hasn't been in the playoffs too much and kind of bursts onto the scene, if you want to say, like the Thunder, I usually don't like them. But the Thunder might be an outlier. The way that Shea is hooping this season, offensively, he can get a bucket pretty much whenever he wants. Sometimes he just doesn't have the ball. You know what I'm saying? He's letting other people score. But when they need a bucket, he's always their go-to guy. And he seems to like always come through. His defense is crazy. And Chet Holmgren, bro, like, he needs to be talked about more, because without him, this team is so much different. This team is so much different. What he brings offensively, his shooting has been insane for this team. I wonder what he's shooting. If we scroll down, we got Chet is shooting about 40% from 3, 83% from the line, and 54% from the field. Absolutely insane from essentially a rookie. I know it's like his 2nd year in the league, but 1st year playing, so he's a rookie. But nah, Jalen Williams has been solid as well. Josh Giddey has been bad, in my opinion. He's been a little bit better lately, but it just kind of seems like he doesn't really want the ball. He's a little bit scared of it. Again, lately it's been getting a little bit better, but, and then Lou Dort, just so good on defense. This is a team that is very complete. It's very complete. Maybe they could use, you know, a scorer off the bench. That could probably help. Maybe we'll see them make a trade come the deadline, because this is another team that is like, they're rebuilding, but like they weren't, I don't think they were expecting to be like there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like a finals contending team. They have so many picks that they could really go land somebody like before the trade deadline. So that's going to be very interesting. Do they make a trade? Because everyone talks about these other teams, Lakers, Warriors, obviously Raptors are possibly going to trade Pascal. The Jazz are rumored to trade Laurie. The Bulls are a big trade rumor team. There's a lot of teams. The Thunder, I feel like, aren't mentioned a lot, but we'll have to see what they do come trade deadline. Of course, we got to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves when we're talking about the threats to the Denver Nuggets out west. The Timberwolves have been number 1 pretty much in the West all year. And you guys see the team. It's a very good team, a very good defensive team. When Ant is actually, he's very solid for a guard. You know, especially first few years, I feel like he wasn't great at defense, but this year, even last year, he was pretty solid. Cat, solid defender. Rudy, one of the best defenders in the league. Naz Reid, been really good at defense. Mike Conley is really not giving you much, but you don't really need him to. Jaden McDaniels, a really good defender. This is a very complete team, and I feel like with the Thunder in the West, I guess I would say it's like a 1A, 1B. As crazy as it might sound, I think I have the Thunder as like 1A, like literally very like slightly in front of the Timberwolves. If I had to pick, like if it went to the playoffs today and it was like, who you picking? I think I'll lean Thunder, as crazy as it might sound. But the Timberwolves are very good as well, and the Clippers I think are also in that mix. I think that's the top 4 in the West right now. Let me know what you guys think. And oh my God, I mean, we got to talk about this team. Some of you could probably tell who it is, and there's just a lot of L's. There's a lot of red markings on this screen that is very bad. Now I know a lot of you guys are fans of this team. It is the Los Angeles Lakers, because that's just one of the most popular teams in the NBA, so there's naturally going to be a lot of fans from that team. But this is bad, and I might have to make a whole video about the Lakers. So if you want to see more about the Lakers, sub up, turn on noties. Again, we're about to hit 1K subs, but this is bad. This is a team that was pretty firmly in the playoffs. They were 15-10. They won the in-season tournament. Things were going good to start the year, but now they went from 15-10 to 17-9. They are 2-9 in their last 11 games, and this is a team that's in trade rumors. As we've said, they got to do something soon. It seems they got to do something. There's rumors for them to go get Zach LaVine, which I don't know if that's the perfect fit. I personally would rather get a guy like DeJounte Murray from the Hawks, who is also rumored to be traded, because I think the Lakers need a little bit more defense. Like, they need guard defense. Obviously, they are trying to get an offensive play. If you're getting a star, you're going to want some offensive play there. DeJounte can give you kind of both. In my opinion, the type of player the Lakers are going to want is going to be like an athletic guard that can be solid on defense, also give them something offensively. I feel like that's kind of what they want Cam Reddish to be, and he's kind of that, but he's not really all that. So I feel like they're gonna have to do something come the trade deadline, or even just now they're gonna trade for somebody. Another guy rumored is possibly Terry Rozier. I don't know if that's a perfect fit, because again, I think they should go for someone that has a little bit more defense, but that would be interesting. I don't really like that fit as much as like a DeJounte Murray or even possibly a Zach LaVine. Also, Alex Caruso maybe could go there. He gets injured a lot though, so I would say DeJounte Murray is my favorite player that could be on the Lakers. Yesterday's NBA slate of games was very weird. We had 28 teams playing. There was 2 teams that didn't play, 14 games, so much basketball, but like 75% of the games ended up blowing out. So the starters didn't play the 4th, just teams were winning by 30. It was a weird day. I think Shea was the leading scorer of the day with 34 points. You guys know I always like to talk about who went off, who had a crazy game, who put up 40, who had like 20 rebounds, who got a triple double, who's a random bench player that went crazy. I always like to talk about those type of players in these videos, but there wasn't much craziness going on. It was a lot of blowouts, a lot of mid games, if we're being honest. So there's not much to say. If you guys are new, sub up. We're about to hit 1K subscribers. Turn on noties and click the video popping up on your screen right here if you haven't seen it yet.